Welcome back, fight fans. Welcome back. Let's just dig right into it. This is the official prediction for Manny Pacquiao and Keith one-time Thurman. And we have to give an honest and unbiased assessment of who we believe will win this fight. This has always been, to me, a pure 50-50 fight. But I've noticed something over the last month or so. And I've noticed that the odds-on favorite has changed from Keith Thurman to Manny Pacquiao. So back on May 24th, Keith Thurman was the favorite. Las Vegas changed it from May 24th to June 24th from, Keith Thurman for being an overwhelming favorite to being a slight favorite. And then changed from June 24th to July 8th. From Keith Thurman being a slight favorite to Manny Pacquiao now being the favorite. So what I'm noticing here is the trend is that the line is moving away from Keith Thurman and pretty much crossed over to Manny Pacquiao, and for good reason. Manny Pacquiao, is a Hall of Fame fighter. He's been on this stage and on this level before. He's shown that he has what it takes to compete at this level. On the other hand, Keith Thurman, he has not competed at this level before. He's fought top tier fighters such as Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, and he was victorious in those fights. But Keith Thurman has never fought a Hall of Famer like Manny Pacquiao before. So this is going to be a very difficult fight for Keith Thurman, but also a very difficult fight for Manny Pacquiao. What makes this a 50-50 fight is because Manny Pacquiao is at, pretty much 40 years old. He's not the same Manny Pacquiao that he was prior. Manny Pacquiao has a record of 61 wins, 7 losses. He's been stopped 3 times. Even though Manny Pacquiao's been stopped 3 times, I don't see Manny Pacquiao getting stopped in this fight. Not saying that it's not possible, but I just don't think it's likely. And then on the other hand, you see Keith Thurman. He has a record of 29-0 with 22 wins. He's 30 years old. He's 5'7.5" with a 69-inch reach. And so the height and reach advantage for Keith Thurman, when you see that Manny Pacquiao's 5'5.5" with a 67-inch reach, you see the reach and height advantage for Keith Thurman over Manny Pacquiao. And I look at it and I say that could be a difference maker in the fight. A lot of people, it was very difficult to come to a conclusion on who would win this fight because it's a very close fight. The styles, the clashing, it's going to be very good. But looking at it unbiasedly and honestly as I can, I see Keith Thurman, just being out of range of Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao is going to be reaching to try to get to Keith Thurman, and Keith Thurman is just going to be constantly moving. I think Keith Thurman may be aggressive early in the fight, but I think that Keith Thurman will eventually settle down, use a lot of lateral movement, counter Manny Pacquiao, because we all know that Manny Pacquiao's kryptonite is timing and countering. Juan Manuel Marquez proved that. Floyd Mayweather Jr. proved that. And, I see that Keith Thurman is a very good counterpuncher. He's going to cause a lot of problems for Manny Pacquiao, constantly being on the move, constantly countering him, constantly timing him. And I can see moments in the fight where Keith Thurman could possibly get stopped, or Keith Thurman may be worried that he could get stopped because Manny Pacquiao is going to apply immense amount of pressure, unrelenting. And if Manny Pacquiao hits him with a strong left hand, Keith Thurman is going to sleep. But at this point, I don't think that's going to be very likely. Manny Pacquiao, I just don't see it with Keith Thurman instituting this much movement. Keith Thurman is known to have very good defense. And even though, these two guys, their prior fights, you see Josecito Lopez, hurt Keith Thurman, almost stopped him midway through that fight. Although that was the only moment in the fight where Keith Thurman didn't have control. Keith Thurman could have stopped Josecito Lopez early in the fight, hurt him early in the fight, and Keith Thurman pretty much outboxed him in the later half and ran, using his lateral movement at the end of the fight. On the reverse end, Manny Pacquiao has shown brilliance in his fight against Adrian Broner. Prior to that, Lucas Matthysse stopped him, but this is not a Lucas Matthysse that anyone rates highly at this point, and no one rated Adrian Broner highly as well. So then we go back prior to that, the Jeff Horn fight. Even though most people feel like Manny Pacquiao won the fight, regardless on who you thought won or lost the fight, if you analyze the fight and you see the amount of difficulty that Jeff Horn, a rough, rugged fighter, which is a completely different style than Keith Thurman, gave Manny Pacquiao, you can see that, Manny Pacquiao was not the Manny of old, because the Manny of old would have stopped Jeff Horn easily. And so at this point, I look at it and I see the two fights, Lucas Matthysse, Adrian Broner, that those are not names that inspire a lot of confidence. I understand that Keith Thurman is coming back from a long layoff, not looking spectacular against Josecito Lopez, but still getting the job done. I think Keith Thurman wins this fight because of his youth, because of his height, because of his reach, because of the intangibles. And, I think it's just going to be too much for Manny on the night. I think Keith Thurman is going to institute a lot of movement, and that's going to get him the victory. I don't see this fight ending in the knockout, but if the fight did end in a knockout, then it's Manny Pacquiao who stops Keith Thurman. I believe the fight goes to decision, and since it's going to a decision, I believe one time Keith Thurman wins because he's in his prime, because he has a height advantage, a reach advantage, an age advantage. He has fresher legs. Keith Thurman is going to be the victor in this fight. I just think Keith Thurman's going to be a little bit too much for Manny Pacquiao. But once again, if Manny Pacquiao catches him clean, it's over. But once again, unbiased as always, it's the IBFP. Please share, like, and you must absolutely subscribe.